Okay, a very good morning to you all. In our previous video, we started the concept of polymorphism. We defined this polymorphism and we also discussed some of the basic concepts in this polymorphism. So, we said polymorphism is nothing but having many forms, isn't it? So, then we have seen if you take the same function name, same member function name, both in base class as well as in derived class. So generally we discussed polymorphism in inheritance, we can say, isn't it? So if we take the same function name both in base class as well as in derived class, we set that concept as function overriding, isn't it? Function overriding. What is function overriding? If you take the same function name, same member function name, both in base class as well as in derived class, as long as you're creating the base class object and you're calling the member function, I mean overridden member function from the base class, there are no issues. Simply the object will directly invoke the member function from the base class itself, because at compile time your base class is completely unaware of the derived class. Okay, where the problem comes, where we get the issue in the sense, when we are creating an object of derived class and when we are executing when we are calling the member function from the derived class, your compiler sometimes gets confused to call which function, whether to call the member function from the base class or to call the member function from the derived class which it got inherited, isn't it? Because in inheritance what will happen, whatever public functions we are having, whatever data members, member functions we are having inside your base class as public, all those member functions and all those member data will get inherited to your derived class. So there comes the confusion in method overriding. Whenever we are trying to access the base class member function using the derived class object, it is not possible. So generally what it will do, it will call the derived class member function only. It will call the derived class member function only. I have shown, I mean, I think this is my third class in this polymorphism concept. So in my previous two classes also I have given the clear idea about this concept, clear idea about this understanding. So no need to explain that once again over here, I believe. So then to solve, okay, why the problem is happening means, when we are trying to access the base class member function using the derived class object, it is not allowing, isn't it? Basically it is not allowing because we have the same function names both in base class as well as in derived class. To solve this issue, what we have done, we have gone to the pointers concept, isn't it? We have gone to the pointers concept. We have created the base class pointer and we tried to access the base class data members and base class member functions using the base class object address. That we are successfully doing. But when we are storing the derived class address into that base class pointer, again what it is doing, it is calling only the base class member functions. It is not calling the derived class member function in case of method overriding, isn't it? Function overriding. In case of function overriding, again the base pointer, what it is doing, base class pointer, what it is doing, it is calling only the base class member function, overridden function. It is not calling the derived class overridden function. Again, the reason we said, at compile time only static linkage will occur. Okay, at compile time only early binding will occur. Early binding, static binding, okay, compile time binding, compile time linkage will occur. So compile time linkage means what? At the time of compilation only, the function call to the function body, the link will be established. The function call to the function body link will be established at compile time. So at that point, at compile time, your base class is, as your base class is completely unaware of your derived class, so there is no link will be established. Okay, no link will be established between the base class object and the derived class function. So that is the reason why we are unable to access the derived class member function using the base class pointer. using the base class pointer. So to solve this issue, what we have done to solve this issue, we have gone to the late binding concept, dynamic binding concept, dynamic linkage concept. Okay, runtime polymorphism. We also called it as runtime polymorphism. What is runtime polymorphism? Means we are doing the function call to the function body link at the time of run, at the time of execution of your program. We are doing function call to the function body link at the time of run, at the time of execution of your program. So generally, how we are achieving this means with the help of virtual functions, isn't it? Virtual function, simply what it will do, yeah, we are using virtual keyword along with the function declaration. Only that virtual keyword will tell the compiler to do the late binding, so that the base class will become aware of the derived class. Clear? So another concept we said, pure virtual function, and the importance of this pure virtual functions I have explained you with the help of that IT workflow concept, isn't it? IT organization workflow concept. What we said in IT companies, generally the project development will be done in the with the help of teams, isn't it? They are going to form teams, and every team is going to solve, every team is going to develop a particular module of the big project. So where team leader, what he will do, he will only give the ideas, he will not do any implementation. He will only give the ideas, and those ideas he's giving with the help of pure virtual functions. So simply what it will do, he will declare the function inside a class, and he will make that as equals to 0, isn't it? He will declare the function inside a class, and he will make that declaration equals to 0. So now the declared pure virtual functions can be implemented by inheriting inside the derived classes, in that way pure virtual functions are going to give a kind of abstraction to the team leaders, where the team leaders will only give the abstract, they will not give the complete implementation. They will give only the abstract in the sense just the hint, just the idea of what to implement. Okay, just the idea of what to implement. Now the team members, what they will do, they will inherit the team leader class, and they will give the implementations to all the pure virtual functions defined, I mean declared by the team leader. Okay, all the pure virtual functions declared by the team leaders. So in that sense we discuss that concept. In today's class also we are going to discuss two of the most important polymorphism concepts. Okay, we have another two. Okay, method overriding, that we said between the classes. Okay, so suppose if you do something to behave differently inside a within a same class. Okay, if you do something so that an entity or a function or a data member is going to behave differently within the same class, then such concepts also examples for polymorphism. Such concepts are also examples for polymorphism. In today's class we are going to discuss two such concepts. Okay, so the two comes under one single category, that is overloading. Okay, overriding we already discussed. Method function overriding between the classes we already discussed. So in today's class we'll be discussing C++ overloading. So this overloading, it can be of two types. The first one is function overloading, and the second one is operator overloading. Okay, so what are the two different forms of overloadings are that? Those are, the first one is function overloading. Let me just take the marker. Okay, the first one is function overloading. Okay, this is the first one, and the second one is operator overloading. Hopefully we'll discuss this first one in today's session, and this second I will put for the next class. Okay, second, operator overloading, we'll discuss in the next class. So in today's class we'll be discussing only the function overloading. Clear? So yeah, as I said, overloading is nothing but, function overloading is nothing but taking the same function name with different definitions. Okay, inside a single class, what we do, we take the same function name with multiple declarations. How we do those multiple declarations? In the sense, just by differing in terms of type and number of arguments are type and number of parameters that we are going to pass to that function, not in terms of return values but only in terms of type and number count of your parameters that we are going to pass to a function. So all these functions, in order to show this overloading, they have to come within the same scope. They have to come within the same scope in the sense within a same class, inside a same class only. If you are taking same function name but with different parameters and different parameter types, different number of parameters and different parameter types, then we are calling such function declarations as functions got overloaded. So here, if you read this first point, C++ allows us to specify more than one definition for a single function name, or an operator also same thing. Operator will declare it as a function and will take with different parameters. So in that case also, what will happen? Operator overloading will occur, which is called function overloading. If you take same function name with the different parameters, then we call it as function overloading. And if you take the operator, multiple declarations for the same operator, multiple definitions for the same operator within the same scope, then we said operator overloading has been occurred. Yes. An overloaded declaration, how it is going to be different from the already declared one, means in terms of type and number of arguments, or type and number of parameters that we are going to pass to that function. Okay, not the return value. So if you read it, an overloaded declaration is that which is declared with the same name as previously declared declaration. We already have one such declaration, and again we are declaring the same function declaration but with different parameters, except the both declarations have different arguments are nothing but your parameters only, and obviously different definitions. For every declaration we are going to have a separate definition for that one. So in that way, these functions are going to differ when we are doing the function overloading. Clear? So the next thing is, yes, when an overloaded function or operator is called, how generally when we are calling the function, if you have the overloaded function definitions, means more than one definitions, then how the compiler will decide which function to call? When you are in calling, simply we are using the function name with the parameter count, isn't it? Then how the function will decide which function definition to invoke, means based on the number of parameters, based on the type and number of the parameters. Okay. And the process of selecting the appropriate or the suitable overloaded function is known as overload resolution. Okay, we call it as overload resolution. Here you can see that one. So I will explain this entire thing with the help of a simple example so that you will have some idea. So let us say inside I'm taking a class some class name I'm taking overload. My class name is overload, and in it I'm taking different functions. Okay, different functions. First function name I'm taking void. The job of this function is to print the value. Print, that's it. Print of, sorry, not capital but integer. Okay, this is one declaration. So far I have done only one declaration. So if I use this same print function name and I do the second declaration, so void print double. So here the second declaration, and what I am printing is a double value I am printing. Take the third declaration with same function name. So third declaration, void print of integer double, and you take some character star. Character star is nothing but your string that we already know. So this is your third. Okay, so like this, how many uh, declarations I have for the same function print? Three different declarations. Three different declarations I have. So I will write another declaration with multiple parameters. So here, how these function declarations are differing means only in terms of type of parameters. Here the type, first parameter, only one parameter I am passing. First function, only one parameter. Second function also only one parameter. Third function also only one parameter. But in what sense they are differing means in type of parameter. So here the type of parameter is int, here the type of parameter is double, and here the type of parameter is character star, that is nothing but string. So in type of parameters they are differing. So yeah, they are overloaded functions. And I will write one more function with number of parameters. Type I will take same, but count I will increase to 2. Instead of 1 I will pass 2 integers. So basically that function will add those those two parameters. So here I am doing that one. Print sorry, void return type is same, and print int comma int, int comma int. Now how many function declarations I have? Four function declarations I have with same name. All my function names are print 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 only. And how they are differing with each other means in terms of type and number of arguments. Here these three are differing in terms of type, and the last one is differing in terms of number of parameters. Here I am passing only one parameter, one integer type, and here I am passing only one double type, and here I am passing only one string, that is nothing but character type, character star type, character pointer type. But here I am passing two integer types. Here the count between this and this we have similarity and difference. Between this and this we have similarity and difference. Here both the both the functions, this print as well as this last print, they are taking integer type of parameters. They are taking integer type of parameters. But here the integer only one integer type, but here two integer types. Here the parameter count is only one, and here the parameter count is two. So in that way these functions are differing with one and other. So this kind of phenomenon, this kind of property of your C++, we are calling it as function overloading, and it is nothing but your um, polymorphism, because the same function print is behaving differently when you are passing different arguments. So right now what I have to do, I have to write the coding definition for all these four functions right now. How many functions your compiler will treat them like? Your compiler will treat them, now they are overloaded, isn't it? They are overloaded. So your compiler will treat them as four functions. So I have to write the definition for this first print, then this print, this print, this print. So quickly you see how I am going to write the definition. So my class name is overload. So the same class name I am taking. So in order to write, first we have to write the return type, isn't it? And all my return types are void only, as you can see. Okay, the functions, they can't be overloaded just by changing the return type. So here int print of int and void print of int. So like this your compiler will not allow, simply it is an error. Like this your compiler will not allow. Here see, as you can see, both the function names are same as well as the parameters are same that you are passing, and you are changing only the return type. You are changing only the return type, and you are expecting these two functions to be overloaded. These two functions to be overloaded. One function will return the integer type of value, and other function is not returning any type of value, and you are expecting these two functions, your compiler, to consider these two functions as different definitions and different declarations. But your compiler won't do that one, as the parameter count is same here and here. They can't be overloaded. Even if you, yeah, if you take the different parameters over here, then ultimately they will get overloaded, isn't it? They will get overloaded. So here with the help of return values you can't overload the functions. Only with the help of type and number of parameters you can overload the functions. You can overload the functions. Just remove this bottom thing what I have written. So then only in terms of type and number of parameters functions can be overloaded. Functions, they can't be overloaded just by changing the return type. Just by changing the return type. This statement you remember. Next thing, we have to write the definitions for all those functions. So first definition I'm writing, that print int. So simply, if it is an integer type of value you are passing, your compiler will print that integer type of value on the output screen. So how come? Overload, first you take the return type, that is void, and then the function name, oh sorry, class name, because we have to qualify the function name, isn't it? Overload, scope resolution, then print is my function name, and how many parameters it is taking? Only one parameter. So I am taking into a temporary variable a. Now I am printing inside it, I am printing simple statement, integer parameter, integer parameter, and that integer parameter is nothing but your a. So like this we will print. So the next thing, we have to write the definition for, yeah, this double also. So that I'm writing over here. So void is the return type, then overload is my class name, then take the double value, double d. So next here inside it, cout double parameter, double parameter, colon, close this one, and that d you print over here. Keep this semicolon at the end. Close this one. So next is character star, that is nothing but your string. So how can we print that one? Same thing, return type is void, class name is overload, sorry, overload, and it is accepting one character star, and it will be a string ch. Inside it, cout of, okay, string parameter, string parameter, colon, and print that ch. So like this, close this one. So last definition, that is this definition we have to provide, print with two integers, isn't it? So generally what I'm expecting your compiler, I mean what I'm expecting to write inside the code means, whenever I'm passing two integer type of parameters, the print function, it has to add these two parameters. It has to add these two parameters. So here I'm taking that one. So again, how I have to take, yeah, here I have done one mistake. So overload, then scope resolution operator, and after that print. You have to take like this, and here you have to put this one. Here you have to put this one. Okay, anyhow, on the compiler, when we do this same program over there, I will change that one. So the next thing is we have to write the overloaded definition for the last function declaration, that is void overload. Here also same thing, I forgot to put print off, and this thing should come here. Okay, so now here overload scope resolution, then take the function name, which is print with how many? Two parameters. So int t1 temporary 1 comma int t2, take like this, and inside this function definition you put this one. Okay, cout addition of two integers. Two integers, when I am printing, you have to consider that we invoked the function with two parameters, two integer parameters. So addition, how we can print? So simply take like this and a plus b. That's it. Sorry, not a plus b. T1 plus T2. T1 plus T2. So now This class, as it is having these many definitions, inside the main function, when you create the object of that class, how that class is going to be, yeah, inside the main function, generally what we do, int main of void, isn't it? Int main of void. And here inside it, what I am doing, I'm creating the object for my overload class. My class name is overload, and OL, I'm taking the object name as OL, overload. Now this, using this OL dot print of some 1 3, which function gets invoked? What I'm passing here, 13 I'm passing. So by default, this 13 will be considered as integer value, isn't it? By default, this 13 will be considered as an integer value. So which function, because for this print I have how many definitions? I have 4 definitions. I have 4 definitions over here. So which function gets invoked? Yeah, the function with only one integer parameter gets invoked, because I'm passing only one integer parameter. So that 13 will get copied into this A. The 13 will get copied into this A, and on the output screen you will get this message, integer parameter 13. So suppose if I pass something like this, if I pass ol dot ol object name dot print of 1.56. So by default 1.56 is a double value, isn't it? By default 1.56 is a double value. So it will call this function, this. Here this d will become that 1.57 something, and the same thing will get double parameter, and that value will get printed. Okay, simple program, very simple program, this one. Yeah, we'll do it now. So the next thing, if I want to call this function with string as parameter, then what I have to do, I have to pass the string. So ol dot print of string, what I am passing, hello, hello, hello. It is a string. So the same string will get copied. I mean, the first character address will get copied into this ch, into this character pointer, and from there it is going to print the entire string. Okay, from there it is going to print the entire string. The next thing is, we have, what do we have after string, with 2 parameters, isn't it? ol dot print of 24 comma 36, 24 comma 36. So this 24 comma 36 will invoke which function? Integer function, overridden overloaded function with integer, 2 integer parameters, overloaded print function with 2 integer parameters. So t1 will become that 36, I think, and t2 will be 24, and that T2 will become 36. Now, if you print the addition 24 plus 36, you will get 60 on the output screen. Addition of 2 integers, 60, like that you will get on the output screen. So in this way, a same function name with different type as well as different number of parameters can be taken inside a same class. So the advantage over here is, no need to remember more than one function. Simply remember the print function. Generally what the print will do, it will print the message on the output screen. So if you are passing the integer, it will print the integer value. If you pass the double, it will print the double value. If you pass the string, it will print the string value. If you pass more than one, like 2 parameters, it will print the sum. And don't expect that it is going to sum all the types. Yeah, as we are writing the definition and declaring the print function only with integer types, it is going to add only integer types. So suppose if you call one function like this, okay, let us assume that you are calling a function like this. Yeah, quickly tell me what will be the output if you put a statement like this: ol dot print of 1.4 comma 3.6. What is the output of this one? What output you will get? Does it going to add this 1.4 and 3.6 and print the result as 5, or what it will do? No, it is not going to print the result as 5. It is going to give an error over here. No suitable definition found. Such type of error it will give. It will give an error over here, and that error type is no suitable definition found for this one, because here print with two arguments, both the arguments must be integers. If you take both the arguments as double, or one as integer and one and double, then your compiler will gets confused again. Your compiler will gets confused again, and it will simply raise the exception, it will simply raise the error stating that no suitable definition found for this function call. No suitable definition found for this function call. So quickly we'll go and we'll execute this program. uh, I'm opening my Dev CPP compiler. Okay, this is my Dev CPP compiler. So here to execute that program, I have to take a new file. I'm going to the file menu, selecting new source file. So here I will start writing the coding for that program. So hash include iostream. Okay, then using namespace std. Okay, int main of void init. Yeah, before this we have to write that class declaration. CLASS, class overload. O must be capital. Over overload. Okay, in it we have to put the same function name with multiple parameters. That is nothing but we have to do the function overloading over here. So void print of int with only one integer type of parameter. Void same function name print with double. Okay, take another one. Void print of a character star, that is a string. Okay, character star, that is string. Okay, then void print of int comma int. Okay, with two integer parameters. Now close the class and start writing the definitions. So void overload scope resolution print of int a. Okay, so if we are reading if we are passing integer parameter, that parameter will get copied into this a. So now C out of uh, integer parameter colon, at the end print that value a. Next is we have to print, yeah, we have to write the definition for the second one, which is void over class name overload colon uh, print with double d. Okay, now yeah, whatever double value you pass from the main function, that value will get copied into this d. Okay, so I'm writing double parameter colon, and that double parameter will be inside d. So next thing is void overload colon print of, after double we have character star ch. Okay, a string. So C out, okay, string parameter colon, and print that string parameter. So ch. So just put that ch. Automatically it will take the function, I mean the string till the end of line found. Close this one. So next one more we have, that is void overload colon print of int t1 comma int t2, like this. Now write the definition C out. So basically what we said, it has to add those two. So addition of two integer parameters, addition of two integer parameters colon, add those two, that is t1 plus t2, like this. Put the semicolon at the end. So now all the definitions are over. For overloaded definitions are over. Okay, multiple definitions to the same function name but with different arguments and different set of bodies, isn't it? So first, if I call, if I have to create the object overload ol, I have created the object. Now ol dot print of, if I pass 10, which function call gets invoked? We have four function calls. So which function call gets addition of two integers, string, double, integer? Which function call gets invoked? This function call gets invoked because we are passing only one integer parameter and that integer parameter is matching over here. So this function call gets invoked and the 10 will be copied into this A, and the same thing you will get on the output screen. Quickly save this program, overload.cpp. Hit the enter, the program got saved. Execute, compile, wait for the errors. Yes, here we have one error. Acha, this one, it should be character, not chat, isn't it? Char. So now again one more error. Yeah, we have to take all our functions as private. Not private, public. I forgot to put the scope resolution. That is public access specifier. Okay, hopefully it got executed. Sorry, compiled successfully. Now I execute, run the program. See, yeah, integer parameter. As we are passing only one parameter, it is printing integer parameter 10. So if I pass two integer parameters, 10 comma 20, so which function definition is matching for this print? Yeah, this function definition is matching because we are passing two integer parameters 10 and 20. So this 10 get copied into t1 and 20 get copied into t2, and the same thing we are adding over here, t1 plus t2. So 10 plus 20, 30. So addition of two integer parameters colon 30, that output we have to get when we are passing two integer parameters. Compilation successful. Now the execution, hopefully it will also successful. As you can see here, addition of two integer parameters 30. So it is invoking this function definition for two parameters. So if I put here some decimal value 1.57, it is a decimal value and value with precisions, and this is an example for a default double. It is a default double value. It's a double value. So basically, which function definition we are expecting to be invoked? This function definition. Yeah, the double that 1.57, as it is a double value, this function gets invoked and that 1.57 gets copied into this D, and the same thing you will get on the output screen. Double parameter 1.57, that is our expected output. So compiling the program, compilation successful, and if you see the output, yeah, we got that same double parameter 1.57. Double parameter 1.57. So how can we call this string? Means this definition, this last definition, yeah, this definition. How can we invoke this string parameter ch? So what we have to do inside this, call the same print function by passing a string. If you pass the string, that is hello. So what it is a string. Hello is a string. So basically this will get copied into that ch, and you will get the output accordingly. I guess the program not executed successfully. So no executed. So here string parameter hello. You can, as you're expecting that hello to be printed, we are getting that same thing on the output screen. Yeah, this is something function overloading. Yeah, we are overloading the functions between the we are overloading the functions within the same class but with different parameters. So in previous class, whatever we have seen, function overriding concept, that is also an example for function overloading only, because between the classes we are taking, but function names are same as well as parameters also need to be same over there. Whatever parameters you are taking in the base class, the same parameters you have to take inside the derived class, then only we are calling it as function overriding. If you take different parameters over there also, it will become function overloading only. So what I mean to say is, with this concept I will conclude. So what I mean to say is, suppose uh, we have one class inside, sorry, what, yeah, we have one class like, or else delete this entire thing and start freshly, newly. So here in this one, let us say we have one class. I'm taking the class as class base. Yesterday we have done this one, class base class. Inside base class, what I am doing, I am taking a function, public colon void display of void, like this we have taken, isn't it? Void display of void. Then we have taken another class which we have derived from this base class. So class base, sorry, class derived colon public base. Publicly we are deriving this derived class from base class. So in it, what I am doing, I am taking the same function name. Okay, same function name, void display of, here the parameter type and number of parameter, they must be same. They must be same, like this. If you have this type of thing, then we call this as function overriding. Same function name, same number of parameters, and the type of those parameters must be same also in both the function declarations. Function declaration inside the base class, it should be exactly same like the function declaration inside the derived class. Then only we call it as function overriding. Function overriding. If it change it, if you change anything over here, let us suppose instead of void if you have int over here, then what it is function overloading between the classes. It is function overloading between the classes. Between the classes there is no concept of function overloading, because function overloading, when it will occur within the same scope only. Here, as the scope is different, if you create the object of this class, then you can call this function, and if you create the object of this class, you can call this as well as this, based on the number of parameters. So that is the reason why we are saying function overloading between the classes. Function overloading between the classes. This same example I will code it so that you will understand. Okay, so here I will take a new file. So here hash include iostream. Okay, then using namespace std. Okay, then I'm writing my int main of void. Okay, here we have to go to the end and take the class base. In it, what we are doing, we are taking only one display function. So this publicly, isn't it? Publicly we have to take public colon, okay, void is the return type and display is my function name, and I will write the definition here itself. Okay, with void as my uh, uh, so cout display no parameters, without any parameters, isn't it? Display no parameters. So this message you will get if you call the function without any parameters. Okay, now what I am doing, class derived, okay, publicly inheriting base. So here inside it, again I am taking public, okay, method name is void display of. Now I am taking integer just for difference. If you take void over here, that is the concept of method overriding. If you take void also here, that is method override, function overriding. Overriding we already completed, so no need to discuss that once again. So just if I take some different parameter over here, it will become function overloading between the classes that we have to discuss. So cout of uh, display with integer, display with integer, and that integer value will be printing display with integers, and that integer we are going to read inside a. Here you take a and that a you print here, colon. That's it. Close this. So now how many classes we have? Two classes. One is base class and the other one is derived class. So the concept I will show you graphically over here. So delete this as we have already coded. So now how many classes I have? I have one class. I have one class. That is my class base. Okay. And here I have only display with void without any parameters, isn't it? So another class I have taken and I have derived from this class, and we are calling that class as, we are calling this class as derived. We are calling this class as derived class, and this derived class is also having one display coding definition and with one integer parameter. So as it is deriving from here to here, it will also get one function, that is public function from this base class. So that is display without any parameter. So this will got inherited from here to here. Okay, and inside base class we'll be having only one. Inside derived class we are having two displays but with different parameters. So this is overloading. This is function overloading. Function overloading. And again, when you are calling this, okay, when you are calling this, there is no confusion. Hopefully, we'll see. Okay, so quickly we'll go to the main function and we'll see what will happen here. So what I have to do, first I will invoke this display. First, I will invoke this display by creating the object of this base class only. So how can I create the object of base class? Base B. Okay, so base B, BOBJ. So now BOBJ is my base class object. So if I call BOBJ dot display, what it will print? It will print that display function without any parameters. Display no parameters. That message we are expecting on the output screen. Yeah, we will see. So this is overload 2 dot cpp. Okay, program got saved. Compile. What it is saying? Expected. Yeah, here there is no need of this semicolon. As we are writing the definition here itself, no need to close that function. Save it, compile. Again, what it is saying? Yeah, here we need the semicolon. Save it, compile. Successfully compiled, execute, run. As you can see, we got that message from A class. That is base class. Display no parameters. Display without any parameters. So this invocation, this display function from the base class, it is getting invoked. Now what I am doing, I will create this. I will remove this entire thing. I will remove. I will create the derived class object. Derived DOBJ. Okay, derived DOBJ. So if I call DOBJ dot display without any parameters, so this will also call the base class function which got inherited here. This display, it got inherited into derived class, so this will get invoked. This will get invoked. So quickly see that one. So save it. So again, for this also you will get the same message: display no parameters. Compile. Successfully compiled. It is asking some parameter. Okay, no matching function to call to derived display. Derived display. Okay, as it is overwritten, maybe it is not considering that one. So let us say whether it will call this integer or not. So simply put 20 over here. So now what it will happen? It will call that 20. Have we taken that as public? Yes, public only. Publicly only we are. So now it is compiled successfully. Go and execute. See the output. See, we got that output. Yeah, display with integer 20. So in this way, function overloading between the classes also it will support. Okay, hopefully you got the today's concept. And operator overloading in today's in our next video or in our next class we are going to discuss. So hopefully we are going to wind up this unit in one or two classes hardly. So the second part of this unit, that is algorithms, it is as I told you in my previous video as well, it is completely related to your mathematics concepts. You will easily get, so it won't take more than two classes, okay, two videos I can say. So hopefully we'll wind up that those two classes and another three classes over here I need. So in 4 or 5 classes I will wind up this first unit hopefully. So thank you students.